Look, when up top it get dangerous at night. Don't you touch, don't you dare me at night. Niggas trip, he gon' stare down his pipe. Niggas trip, he gon' stare down his. You never know what's gon' come out that bag. You never know who gon' bounce out and smash. You never know who gon' bust through the dash. You never know who got you till it's bad. When up top it get dangerous at night. Don't you test, don't you dare me at night.
Hello everybody, it's 1,000,001 Questions with your host being myself, and I'm with another special guest. He's a creator, entrepreneur, and a community leader. He goes by Mr. Lotta Worldwide, and we're in the beautiful city of San Francisco. How you been?
Good, bro. We out here, you know what I mean? This is, Mateo, founder of Lotta Worldwide, and, doing our thing with the whole brand and, just keep creating, but that's the whole gist of it.
Okay, so I just want to start with, who's Mateo?
I was born and raised in San Francisco, grew up here in the Mission, seeing the whole transition of gentrification, and it's definitely shaped me who I am. But my father, my family, entrepreneurs at start, and as a little kid, I always had that mentality of just selling and interacting with people, building that community. And from there, just, education was the way to get out of poverty. Stuck in school, still in school, but, just power is knowledge, so I just keep learning, growing. Started my brand when I was at 16, and from there, just different projects here and there.
Cool.
But,
So you're from the Bay?
Born and raised in San Francisco, half Mexican, half Guatemalan.
Oh, dope. What do you like about the Bay?
What I love about the Bay, it's the people. It's so diverse. There's people from all different continents. You know what I mean? People coming from everywhere, different foods. It's kind of a bubble, but there's not a lot of systemic racism here. There's a lot of liberal-minded people that want to help each other and help each other grow. So that's the only part that I really love about it.
Is there anything that, I don't want to say hate, but just, you mentioned gentrification, you mentioned seeing the whole transition, and I've noticed it too my whole time living out here as well. What's something you dislike that you've noticed from growing up here?
Well, what I've noticed is a lot of my homies, they're not here anymore. They went to different places, in the East Bay or even farther. You know what I mean? They just keep getting pushed and pushed back, and that really makes other people vulnerable because, higher prices in homes, it really affects the people who are native here. And then also is just a lot of businesses that were here from the start, they have to transition or they have to, move somewhere else or shut down because they can't afford it no more. So that's the reality, but we got to adapt. Okay.
Totally agree. How have you noticed your upbringing and everything just growing up in the city? Growing up in the city, everyone says everything's fast paced. You have to hustle if you really gonna live out here. Especially for as long as you've lived here, them prices, you have to hustle. You kind of have to have that hustler's mentality. And you said your family was entrepreneurs right from the gate. How has your upbringing influenced you of who you are today and who you want to be?
I think that entrepreneur spirit is not for everybody. Even if you're from San Francisco, you come from different places. But what I've seen is people that have been here for a long time, they have to have multiple businesses or they have to have some kind of revenue or income coming in. Because if you just at home watching Netflix being a bum, you're gonna get kicked out. You know what I mean? That's the reality of it. But what I do love about it is that everybody here is trying to innovate, try to create. Doesn't have to be with tech or with business. It could be with arts or crafts, different things. So that's really what I love about it.
Okay. And you mentioned you were half Mexican, half Guatemalan?
Yeah.
Cool. How is being a part of those cultures influenced you?
Man, I think as a Latino in general, I think it's in our blood that we just tend to always work hard. But another thing about it is that hardworking mentality is a good thing, but also you got to reflect on that Latin pride too, that you got to work smart too. But what really instilled in my mindset and my mentality is just like put that hard work into a good cause and to be a better person. But as another thing as like being Mexican and Guatemalan is we have that value of family, familia. You know, we always want to build a community. We always want to help each other out. When we see our brothers or aunts or anybody struggling, we want to uplift them. So that's really what I love about our culture.
Has that, you know, that sense of community, have you seen that change? Because you said you grew up in the mission, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so have you seen that change at all? Even though, because obviously before the mission was a lot more, I know it still is, there's still a lot of Latinos in the mission, but years back there's a lot more. Have you noticed that sense of community change?
Well, yeah, if you go on the mission right now, like it's definitely, you know, watered down with a lot of hipsters or like those coffee shops or I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
They're cool and all, but I just miss the whole, you know, other brand, like, you know, restaurants that come from those diverse backgrounds that I love eating, or, you know, visiting these shops that have closed down. Definitely sucks, but again, it comes back to just adapting.
Agree. So when was the first time you thought of like, I want to start my own clothing brand?
Sheesh. Goes back to like 2016. I was really back in high school, like a troublemaker. Always trying to just get with girls and, you know, always just playing around. Never thought about business like that. I was taking a business class through my pathway in high school, and then also I was doing like a program. And then through that program and the class, it really shaped me in understanding more how business works, how you could really build something. But secondly, when I started the brand, I pictured, you know, building something that could relate to others. You know, I wanted to start something where the young, you know, Generation X, Generation Z could understand what people of color go through, and they could represent it and be proud of who they are.
So you had the idea and you right away acted on it.
Yeah,
because that's when you started, right? You started in 2016.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Yeah, and that's what I noticed, like when I was doing research, looking back, like even when we'll get into either right now or in a little bit with when you started your entertainment side of Lotta, it seemed like you had the idea and you just went at it and you gave it your all. You're like, if this works, if it doesn't, I'm still just gonna do it. And that's what I'm thinking. That's how you started your clothing brand.
Yeah,
just you had the idea and let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, honestly, you know, I was working like part-time with other stuff and I just saved money. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna put this money to work. I had others that were in industry that knew how to like print clothes and how to make it and the manufacturing things. And I did a lot of research. I was like 16 years old. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just jumped into it. And like what you said, I just gave it all my all. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. But what being a business owner is just, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So that's the mentality you gotta have.
Yeah, you gotta take risks. What does Lotta mean?
Yeah, Lotta means, well, the people who don't know, it means struggle in Italian. And it represents the people that want to, you know, fight for what they believe in. That's really what it is. Basically, the Italian word, why I called it Lotta and not lucha or some other word in my my heritage is my father spoke Italian when he was a kid, and then he migrated here from Guatemala, and he was in a boutique that was run by Jewish and Italian business owners, and from there, like that culture, definitely all about business.
Yeah, absolutely.
From there, you know, when I was a kid, my dad used to bring me to the shop and learn that, and then I just loved the Italian language. Is beautiful, and I thought, you know, Lotta, you know, resonates with a lot of people. Everybody struggles, and also being in the Bay Area, like Lotta means like you could use that as a way of like saying like there's a lot of shit or a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, so I like that. What do the first designs of your logo look like? The first ever ones?
Yeah, I remember I did this with the designer back in high school. It was me just trying to think of how I could build a design where it represents community. And I thought like hands as a way of like hard work,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought this was like a way of struggle as well. So I thought of like a design where it's like everybody's grabbing each other,
Mm-hmm.
and then I told the artist I want this, and this is how I want it, and this logo. I did like a group study, and I was asking people like, what do they think? They thought it was dope.
Mm-hmm.
It was original. It was nothing like copied or anything. It was just straight from the dome that really inspired me.
Yeah, looks fresh. Do you have any inspirations?
Like mentors or like people I look up to, or what do you mean by that?
Inspiration is like yeah, just kind of people to look up to that add to the inspiration of wanting to make clothes.
Yeah, honestly, I do love the other streetwear brands. Like, I can't lie. When I was growing up, like in middle school, I loved like Stussy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dope brand to me. The Hundreds as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did like Kid Cudi's like style. It was definitely like unique. And then there's other like I think like the outdoor culture,
Mm-hmm.
just like looking at streets and like different cities that I've visited, I've definitely inspired like different attitudes and
Mm-hmm.
how those perceptions really reflect on how you wear clothes
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's really what I could say about inspiration. But I think music as well kind of inspired me as well. Just hearing music and understanding like what they say.
Mm-hmm.
You could reflect that in clothing as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
Yep.
the way I look at especially your clothing or anyone's clothing when they start their own clothing brand is they speak through their clothes, and that's what I've noticed with yours. A lot of your pieces that you've made. When you first started, what was on your vision board, and what's on it today?
Yeah, when I first started, that was way back.
Or just something, not.
Yeah, no,
everything.
I think about like when I was first starting, my vision board was really creating clothing that really represents bright, bold, urban, statements that really resonate with others.
Mm-hmm.
I thought using like pictures and images that resonate with others.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to always use bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use like the black and red as our brand theme, but now looking into what we're creating now for the next year, it's really the next generation of clothing. So that's really more bright colors. I think we stay in the same kind of trend of different colors and that, but it really depends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely like how the mood board or the storyboard of it, where we go, it always fluctuates.
Mm-hmm.
It always changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And just like what you're saying, like this is your shirt. Like first time I ever came about you was on a First Friday. You were sending a vending, and what stuck out to me was like this one says the journey, the struggle, the hustle. Like you were saying, like you guys put like it's just words that actually mean a lot. And then the bag is also really cool. And that's what I really enjoy about your brand.
Right
on. You used this quote way back when I was doing some research. It was an MLK quote where he says, "At the center of nonviolence, the principle of love." At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. Why did that stand out to you?
Man, well, again, I think it goes back to the inspiration part. I didn't say, MLK, but I think those kind of like aspirations of like how different parts of American culture shape, and I think as a black African American leader, MLK was really smart and particular about his words,
Mm-hmm.
and that really inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what those kind of quotes uplift me,
Mm-hmm.
and when I have that energy inside me, I could spread that to others. So
Mm-hmm.
it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other activists that you really gravitate towards?
I definitely love like all of the Black Panther movement. I think that was definitely a moment of history, especially how based in Oakland.
Yeah.
It they fought for the people that were low income. They actually got the people that free lunch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Free lunch
because-
program.
the free lunch program because of the Black Panther movement.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome. Like I think it really, now to this day, it helps millions of Americans that are facing hardships in their life. So I would say that group is, This was
Yeah,
actually
I was actually about to ask. Yeah, was that inspired by it?
Yeah.
As for the aesthetic of the brand that I've noticed, you have a very diverse, or all the models you pick are very diverse. You know, not you have black models, Latino models, white models. Like, is that your goal? Is just keep Lotta as diverse as you can?
Yeah, honestly, I think it goes back to like you don't have to be a Latino or like a person of color to wear the clothing. You know, it's like everybody struggles. Again, like it goes into that global way of just pick what you want to wear and just rock it and feel comfortable. You don't have to be a certain person to wear clothing.
Yeah.
You know, people wear all kinds of clothes and they just want to feel like that's them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what other ways have you looked to keep or even to expand your brand to make it more diverse?
I think it's more of a collaboration approach to me. I think it's me just networking with other brands that really cultivate our aesthetic and that resonates with them as well. But obviously, through this pandemic, it's been hard, building. I've definitely kept in touch with other brands that I've wanted, collaborate with, but it's just you have to be strategic on what you want to do. I definitely have plans for the near future, but
cool.
It always it depends.
What do you like about collaborating?
The thing I love about collaborating is I get to know the other artist or creator of what they want to do, but also I love that collaboration mentality. Sometimes two minds or more minds than just one go a long way, and it goes back to our values of community. So that's really it.
The brand, Lotta means struggle. How have you and your brand participated in fighting struggle?
Yeah, well, there was we always used to do a annual Thanksgiving drive every year. Fortunately, we're not doing it this year because there's a lot of individuals that are not wanting to go outside and get sick, especially with the homeless people. But typically what I wanted to do first when I started was, create a fundraiser, have a lot of people come and we distribute food, clothing, necessities, hygiene products to the people in need. We just only done the Bay Area specifically, but, if we keep fundraising and going further and further with our philanthropic part of our business, we want to expand that. But again, the pandemic has definitely put a halt on that.
I do kind of want to go into the marketing network that you were talking about.
Good.
Where did you learn how to network, or even just get over that hump that a lot of people get stuck of just being shy?
Sheesh. Honestly, I think networking is the number one thing with being a salesperson, or a person that just could get along with anybody. But that comes back to how I was raised. My parents always told me never be scared, be who you are and let them accept you who you are, right? But again, networking, it goes a long way. You meet more people, you get connected with others, you create connections that maybe leads you to another project. But again, networking is, I think, the fundamental part of having a business, because without people, you can't really level up or grow. And a lot of people are scared to network. There's a lot of people who don't have that fire in their body that just, they have to talk to themselves.
Yeah.
So it's just a mentality thing. You know what I mean?
What are some marketing strategies that worked for you that you'd be willing to share?
Marketing tactics.
Yeah, marketing strategies, or or even networking advice.
Networking advice?
Yeah, either or.
I would say definitely, take a class of a speech class or a writing class, because a lot of folks, they want to talk to all these individuals, but they first have to, have that dictionary in their brain where they could, use words where they could influence, they could convince, they could resonate, they can elaborate and get to know each other. Because if you're just not learning and not wanting to grow and read books as well, it's just the fundamental part of learning that really goes a long way with like tactics.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to go into like marketing in general, I would say if you're on like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and you have like an e-commerce business, I love like the pixel tracking thing, where it's basically like a functionality where it goes to your website and it's called cookies, and it tracks where the user goes,
mm-hmm.
and it's like a behavior.
Oh,
this is how
okay.
big businesses, it's a privacy thing where a lot of people just put yes to at the bottom of the website, and that's really critical for advertisers. And for myself, I use it for advertising. Also, I think just reaching out to people on Instagram, just genuine, just trying to get to know them, is another thing, and just understanding who they are. It's a person running the brand. It's not a big corporation. Especially as a small business owner, you got to, try to be as genuine as possible. And then lastly, I would say, just never be afraid to just get out there and post and be consistent. Because if you're not consistent, you just post or do a video or whatever you're creating as a creator, that goes a long way. A lot of people give up and they stop producing, and then that's the end. You know what I mean? So just keep going.
And something I just want to add is, like, because you mentioned it before we started recording, following the wave, staying, just riding the wave, that's a big one. And also what I liked what you said was just reaching out. Like, that's literally how we connected. I just reached out genuinely. I was like, I've been following him for a little while. I'm interested. I feel like he has a lot of stories, he has stories, he has a lot to say. So everything you said is just spot on. And thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Also, as I was researching, I noticed you got a lot of celebrities or celebrity photo ops with like will.i.am, Marshawn Lynch, and Metro Boomin, and there's a lot of other people. How did those come about? Some of those.
Shit, I would say like the biggest one that I had like a real relationship with was Marshawn Lynch. I was in a business competition back 3 years ago, I believe. I won a business competition and got some funding and got like a lot of opportunities about that. But Marshawn Lynch he did a partnership with another e-commerce business, and that really, leveled up my brand. But I think, meeting celebrities, just trying to not be a fanboy or fan, you know what I mean? Just try to just resonate. It's like, you do dope shit and I do dope shit. We should just, rock my shit or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, sometimes it's naturally, you can't really force it because they could feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But again, you just have to be a cool person or somebody that they can resonate with.
How does that feel? Not when like a celebrity, but just when you see anyone wear your clothing brand. Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's dope. Like, sometimes like I go out to eat or go out in somewhere in the city and I see people rocking my shit. I'm like, that's dope. Sometimes I don't even think about it, but really when I reflect on it, I'm like, that's dope. The hard work sometimes pays off. But it makes me happy too, because they're spreading a message that I want to get spread all over the world. So eventually, going to Italy or Rome or, Cuba, we see people out there rocking their shit.
That'd be sick. We did mention Cuba and how it's affected the whole country badly. How has COVID affected your brand?
Oh man,
I know you noted. My bad. I know you mentioned like the fundraising, like the charity, that stuff. But just I guess selling, just trying the other side of the brand. Like, how has it affected that?
Yeah, well, honestly, if you're a business owner, I'm pretty sure like the COVID-19 pandemic has dropped revenues like dramatic. But again, I was aware of what was going on like right at the start, and I was already in the e-commerce business. We actually were selling more online as in the past, but it's definitely have affected our production because we have a lot of different designs that we have ready to be launched, but I wasn't ready to launch different images and products to the world yet because I feel like they're not ready yet with buying power. A lot of people lost jobs. The unemployment rates keep going up. People are getting sick. People are dying. I just don't feel like it's the time for me to, or the brand to really push product. Just sell what we got.
Yeah.
And something new is we started a subscription-based model where we're doing like a pilot-based program, and we're trying it out. You know what I mean? We're trying to feel the water for it.
I was about to ask, like, what has COVID-19 even? What have you learned from it? And you just said, like, the subscription base. You know, I feel like not the good thing, but something people have gone out of this COVID thing is other ways to try to make money or other ways to try to push forward more ideas, and kind of like what you said, like just trying the subscription base.
Yeah. Well, answer your first part of the question was like what I've learned through this pandemic. I've learned that like pain equals progress. You know what I mean? If you like, and equal, like, you know, it's pain plus progress equals reflection. Because I think like once you have that pain, like it progresses you because you have to then reflect on it. I definitely, part of my revenue of like a sales channel was going to like in-person events, as especially the Bay Area, there's tons of them. And once I've seen that really just stop, I was just like, well, what can I do? So as soon as that, I started planning. I sat with the people I work with, and I was like, well, let's just keep advertising. Like, let's not let that stop. Let's just keep posting and just like pretend that everything is just moved online. So we're just leveraging, the wave of e-commerce and how that's being accelerated. Making sure that we're budgeting and having, a safety net for if anything fails, we just have extra money on the side.
Yeah.
But then also, I think what progressed our business during this time is, the subscription model part is, having that recurring revenue or having that recurring business where you're just always constantly knowing that you have some revenue coming in, and the other parts you have to, work for it.
Yeah. Do you have a team, or how big's your team? That's what it sounds like. Cause at first I was like, is he doing everything? I'm like, no way he's doing everything.
Yeah, I have my homie. I started when I was starting, it was like 4 or 5 people that we were just like homies. We were playing around with concepts, but slowly people just started dropping off and not really wanting to be a part of it because they had other priorities.
Yeah.
So eventually, just dropped to independent contractors for like artists. So every time I can make a design, I get an independent contractor for, if I think their work is dope, I'm gonna reach out to them like, hey, can you make a design for me? And that's, we'll settle a contract. I have my homie that definitely has stuck around, and one of my other business partners. I would say 80% of the work I'm doing, they're doing a lot of other parts too, but it's definitely me trying to delegate. But as a small business, you have to.
Yeah, you got to grind.
You have not a lot of resources, and especially as a young entrepreneur, you have other pots in the kitchen, so you got to take care of multiple things. And sometimes I just rely on technology as like automating my work. So if that answers your question.
No, yeah, it does. And so you design everything.
I try to just get that storyboard up and try to figure out what's the theme I want to get into. But again, I collaborate with the artist. The artist really tells me and guides me on like, I give him him the image of like what I envision, and he or she slaps it on and we run with it.
Yeah. Another current event that I wanted to talk to you about was the most recent election, obviously. We have Joe Biden being our new president. How do you see, or do you see any change or any excitement from that?
Well, we're not certain yet. Like if Donald Trump, he could still be president. Like people,
if he doesn't concede or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's still a possibility. Like I'm always optimistic, but there's always a pessimism side of me of just having that in my mindset. I definitely think this is I would say the right foot moving forward in America, because especially people of color and people in all places I feel like they're being brainwashed into this like make America great again. It's like, what has Donald Trump has done for the people that say like, oh, thank you, and what has he done?
Yeah.
I feel like he has made the worst time. And if you follow like economics, like the stock market has been dramatically affected, but also it got boosted. But
Yeah.
I personally think that Joe Biden would be a better president, as in leading people for more hope.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Donald Trump didn't give people hope. He was more of a business person, obviously, but I'm excited where things will end up going.
Okay. Yeah, like what you said in the beginning, like he's that step forward from Donald Trump, and that I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen the news in Guatemala of the people lighting up the Congress building on fire in response to the government defunding their food program. Something with their food. What was it again? Defunding their food assistance program. What do you think is the biggest difference that you see in other countries, that the people in other countries, and their reaction compared to like over here? Like over here, it seems as let's protest, let's vote. But in other countries, when they get fed up, like they go out, they gonna fight. And here we have history of going out and fighting as well. Like you said, like the Panthers, like in the '60s, like they was
out there.
They was really out there, and it seems like the people are more out there back then than they are today.
Yeah.
What do you say is like the biggest difference, or what's changed in people that they become so complacent that you think?
Well, you're comparing two different continents. Like in say like in Guatemala, like that's a developing country, and there's a lot of corruption there. So the government could go so far, but the people really they go crazy out there. Like I definitely think that they have there's a lot of corrupt police that the people have more power sometimes, and if there's more of them, they would fight. Here there's a lot of power in the government, and they would bring tanks and more police and violence, and I think people are scared of that. But there's a big difference from over there, because they're sick and tired of it. They see it every day. Like there's a lot of people in poverty, and here it's there's a middle class, there's a lower class, and there's a higher class. So there's not a lot of people that they're scared or they don't want to go and fight. But I definitely think just because we live in a rich country doesn't mean we can't fight. Like I think there is that part where people want to fight for a good cause, but some people just don't know what to do.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree with that absolutely, and that's how I feel about with the activists that have been killed. Like you had these leaders who were literally leading, giving people plans, ideas of what we gonna do, and then when they're dead, now that next person has to step up. Yeah. But it's not everybody can be that person. Not everyone has a plan.
Yep.
But I agree with you. Before I end, I do want to highlight some of the accomplishments I've seen. I saw that you hosted your own fashion show. Now, I don't know if it was recently or before, but yeah, I think you've done a few. How was it, doing that or being a part of fashion shows?
Well, I've been a part of different fashion shows, but I have done one fashion show for Lotta Worldwide. But
cool.
I think fashion shows is just definitely a place where you could spread your brand to other folks. We've been to a big fashion show with Trap Art. They've done awesome venues, and they really show out, and hundreds of people come out, and they really vibe with the brand, and from that it turns into sales. So I really love how a person could just walk on stage and feel who they are, and represent a part of our brand.
And again, that's like my favorite thing about you is like you just do it. Like the idea, you just do it. You go and do it. Because I can see why people might be scared to want to do a fashion show, especially at such. 4 years. I would say that's a young brand. Like you guys are still a very young brand, and some don't even try to, or I don't want to say don't try, but they just feel like it might not even be possible to do a fashion show or do something big, like really kick the door down, something like that. That's why I noticed with you is you really just do it.
Well, going back to that do it mentality is like we only have so much time in this world. So how I look at it is like we only have really the span of life is 85 to 95, maybe 100. but we only have like say 100 years of life here. So if you're just wasting time and just thinking of it and not like you can plan all you want, but if you don't have that goal and that deadline of your dream, then they just remain dreams, and you're not gonna really go out there. So I think it's just sometimes you're not ready, but you just gotta put that step forward and just jump and jump, and if you get hurt, just get back up and, and just keep rocking with it.
Absolutely. We mentioned it before. You did start Lotta Entertainment. How's that going? How was that? How was even just starting that?
Yeah, that was like an entertainment part where I launched it with my cousin, and we just really started just going crazy with videos, and he was doing a lot of production, and we were just connecting with artists and having them rock clothes, and it was going. It was like great momentum, but then suddenly we put it on halt. I think we were just not. It's still there. The entity is still there. We just haven't put pressure on it.
Okay.
And I think it's something that we should reflect on and maybe come back to it. But at this time, it's not currently like running.
No, yeah, and that's why I just wanted to shout out that accomplishment is you starting that, which was great. I think you kind of already covered it. Another accomplishment is you've had this for 4 years. You're still building this for 4 years, and how does it feel to you've stuck to it still? Because I know a lot of, because you could have given up any other time.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel, or when you reflect on it, like I've still been doing this for quite a bit already.
Well, I think it's like you got to understand, like, this is not a sprint. Like, you gotta like really have that mentality. It was like when I was young, I already knew like if I was going to start something, I had to finish it. And that came back to when I was growing up. Like, my father always told me, it's like, if you start something, you always got to finish it. And that stuck with me because I feel like that would just look bad on me, just not putting my effort in all. But this is my passion. Like, there's passion and there's just work, and this is my passion. So I'm not giving up until I drop.
Yeah. What do you have planned for the rest of the year, and should we expect anything for 2021?
Yeah, we'll definitely expect something coming up soon with the subscription model base. We're collaborating with other brands. We might carry them, and we'll send out a package of different brands and our brand, and we send it out for monthly recurring, so you get new clothes every month. That's something that we're like doing the pilot of. And then for our collection, we have a bunch of things in our backlog where we're already have like ready to go. We just need to press that button and get that production in line.
Yep.
So just wait. We have something ready, but again, we're just being strategic in what units we produce, and specifically during these times of COVID-19, we're just trying to figure out what the data is looking at and what's going to be popping for the upcoming year.
Okay. That was my final question, but is there anything you'd like to share, to promote? The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, if you guys have Instagram, go follow us on Lotta Worldwide. You have your mobile phone with you or your laptop, go with us on www.lottaworldwide.com and just check out the movement and support us. Give us a follow.
Peace.